Hello everyone. Sorry if my voice sounds a little bit cracked, but I had a cold. And yeah, my voice is not fully recovered, but I wanted to do this anyway. So I wanted to talk to you about Jon Fosse's Septology. It's 3 books divided in 7 parts. And the last one, A New Name, is nominated for the International Booker. So that's why I read them. And basically these books follow a man called Asle. I don't know how you pronounce that, but that's how you write it. And Asle lives in a rural area in the west part of Norway. He is a painter. And we follow kind of his thoughts and his about his life. He's an old man now, and it's around Christmas, and basically he spends a lot of time alone, so he thinks a lot. So we follow his thoughts about the present, but also about the past, and kind of get his backstory. And he also has a namesake that lives in the bigger city close to this rural area that is also called Asle, and he looks a lot like him. And he also has similar interests, like he's also a painter and all of that. And but he has a drinking problem. So the main Asle used to have a drinking problem, and then he quit. And this Asle has a drinking problem. So it's kind of like parallel lives. And then there is a lot of weird things going with the names. Asle also has a best friend that is his neighbor, that is called Aslake, and then his wife who died is called Alice. And then there is also the sister of Aslake and another woman in the town have also the same name and look exactly the same and all of that. And yeah, the book is basically kind of experimental, exploring that, kind of confusing you with all of the names, and exploring kind of the alternative lives that these people could have lived, kind of. That at least that's how I interpret it. But I think the main point of the book, the main reason why it exists, is the writing style. So it's written in this, it has not full stops. So each part is kind of a sentence, which for me, apart from if it works or not with the narrative, because we are in his memory, so it's kind of like this constant stream of thoughts, which it does feel very claustrophobic, but I guess that's how it's supposed to feel. So I guess it fulfills that purpose. But it's also very impractical. It doesn't have any other division other than the parts. So the first part is 200 pages, and I don't know if you're supposed to read those 200 pages in a go, or you're supposed to stop in the middle of the sentence. That's what I did, but yeah, it is very impractical. But yeah, the book obviously doesn't care about that. Yeah, that's the kind of the point of the book. The way that it's told, it makes you be in the memory of and in the thoughts of this person, and they are very, very repetitive and very scattered, and kind of claustrophobic, and there's a breathlessness to the book. I did feel breathless a lot of time, and I wanted it to stop, but I couldn't stop. So yeah, I mean, the book is successful at that. But yeah, as I said, also it is very repetitive, to the point that there are some points in which I read a sentence and I thought I have read that sentence already, to the point I was just thinking, am I losing my place and I'm just reading the same thing ever again? And then I went back and I was like, oh no, it's just repeating the exact same sentence. Also, there is we talk about the ribs of Aslake's sister for Christmas a million times. So that kind of thing happens, and it's a little bit jarring sometimes, at least to me. And also there is so the main themes in which the book goes around. There is grief for Alice, but also like addiction. But I think the main things that it also discusses is the artistic life of this man, so his paintings and how he feels about his paintings, and the fact that he used to make paintings for people, but he hated them because they were too realistic and they were not saying anything, and now how his painting process is. And I appreciated that this part didn't feel as pretentious as most writings about art do. I think often, See the Second Place by Rachel Cusk, art can feel very pretentious in a book to me. And this book did it in a way that it didn't feel pretentious. I think part of that was because Aslake, the neighbor best friend of Asle, he's a fisherman, and he also appreciates the paintings, and he knows what is good and what is not, and that makes it feel like, okay, like it doesn't have to be an expert and it's all like wow. But yeah, in general I was not personally interested on that. And there is also a very, very strong religious aspect to this book, which I was not expecting. Asley is very religious, and we see his praying and his thoughts of his life relating to God in many places. And yeah, I just didn't care about that either. And I was also not expecting it. I don't think I have seen many people mention that part of the book in the reviews. So if you're going to pick this up, be aware that the book is actually, it has a big religious element. I think the parts that worked for me the best were the ones when he was going back into the past and talking about the past lives and the family lives that the Asles had, both of them, because they were connected to each other from a relatively young age. So yeah, that part was, for me, was the most successful one, the one I was actually interested in. And don't get me wrong, like this book has some little bits of very good writing, and it like the writing made you feel certain things, which I didn't enjoy, but it's what it was trying to do, so it was successful. Like the writing itself was successful, but the story for me, it didn't make sense. Like, why would all these people have the same name and have the same interests and look exactly the same? That didn't make sense for me, and I was, the whole book I was waiting for this big reveal that will explain that, and spoilers that never came. For me, that was very unsuccessful and very frustrating, because I think that, the book was just full on about chance. Like, all these things happen by chance and we are supposed to accept them, and it felt like an exercise, like a thought exercise that didn't go anywhere. So yeah, for me it was not successful. The last book I honestly just pushed through because it was in the shortlist of the international book, and I just didn't want to give up anymore. But yeah, it was a slog. The first part of the 7 of the Septology was the one that was the hardest to get through. It's the longest and it's the most repetitive one, and it's the one that I think gives you the less amount of information. And also because it's the first one, you don't know where any of this is going, and if it's going to be exactly the same all of the way through, or it's going to change a little bit. And as I said, after a little bit we go into the past of these people, and that's more interesting. So it does improve a little bit, and for me the second book was the best one. But yeah, overall I was very frustrated by this. I just was rolling my eyes a lot, and even though I understand why it's in the Booker and why some people like it, because it's very literary and very experimental and very, like, it does things that I haven't seen anywhere else. I just personally was not interested in those things, and I thought that there was not enough interesting elements in it for me to be engage, and like the things that I would have liked to see develop were the ones that were just there but were not explained and were not the text was not engaging with, and I felt very frustrated about that. I needed explanations that never came, and I needed more. I needed more from this. So yeah, I'm disappointed at this, and I kind of wish I didn't spend all that time reading these books, because I was expecting some big reveal at the end and it didn't happen. But yeah, that's my feelings about this book. Or these books. Let me know if you have read them, what you think about them. Let me know if you're planning to read them, and let me know if you think they're going to win the International Booker. I think they have a chance just because of all the experimental and literary aspects of it. But yeah, I hope it doesn't. But yeah, that's all for me. And until next video, bye!